Welcome back to the Fantasy Football TokeNCast. I'm your host, Travis. Cody was moving to more of a producer role, and I have a special guest here who's going to be joining me for the rest of the time. Ricky, our new commissioner.
Oh, welcome. Hello, thank you. Happy to be here and join you guys. This is a first for me, but I'm excited to talk some football and, with the news breaking today about some commissioner changes. I'm excited to explore that and see what it means for next season.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be once a week. We'll see. We got to check with our schedules. It's this is something we're kind of doing on the side, so it's probably going to be a little hit and miss from here on in.
Learning experience.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. So I wanted to bring him on and have him talk about what Ricky, that is, have him talk about what kind of leagues he likes to play in, what leagues he does play in, what's his favorite format. And then number of leagues that you play in, and then after that we'll get into the news and then maybe some draft strategy.
So I've been playing in a couple different leagues. I played in a family league between 2013 and now, which is traditionally had my brother, my dad, my uncle, my cousin, and some of my brother's friends. And I've been playing in that league on Yahoo. It's been a full point PPR league the whole time. I kind of think it's a little much. It's also got some odd settings for quarterbacks. Have a little bit extra points somehow worked in there. It's a little odd. I don't really like the settings on that one too much. I've done pretty poorly in that league, and it's just different. Some players are much more valuable.
Yeah, we've all been in those leagues for sure.
Yeah.
I play in a double standard league, and what that means is 20 yards for a point as opposed to 10 yards for a point, and 50 yards for a point for a quarterback as opposed to 25 yards. It's just a little frustrating, but it's a lot of money, so I kind of try and try and stay there because it's gonna be a lot of. I got second 2 years in a row in that, made $1,300. So
damn, son. Okay, I see you. I see you.
Those are the leagues that I like to play in,
right?
The big monies.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, this is pretty puny. It's a $40 buy-in, but it's fun to talk shit with the fam, even if you're getting rolled.
It is. It's fun to talk shit with your friends too.
Yeah, of course, and that leads me into, of course, Token League, which I've also played since about 2013 as my first real fantasy experience. So I haven't really been playing that long in the big picture, but I've tried to go as hard as I possibly can over that span.
You've won twice, which is ridiculous.
It's been a lot of luck, but gotten some lucky breaks. But it's been super fun, and I've progressively I feel more competent now than I did a few years ago for sure. So the ball's rolling, no doubt. And I've played in a couple free leagues as well, just with some strangers. And Leslie and I played in another league with a college friend, and so I don't know, I've explored with playing a few more leagues, but I think the 3-league mark for a main, I don't know, it makes watching football more enjoyable for me, right? I'm not as conflicted because every time a player scores, you're either getting points and getting hurt. It's nice to have a balance there.
It is. It's really nice. So 1 year I played in I want to say 8 leagues that were all play out. They weren't best ball. They weren't it was 8 leagues. I paid for every one of them, and I played in all of them, and it was just it was stressful, honestly, just going through.
Too much. Too much.
Because you have Mike Evans score a 60-yard touchdown, and you beat somebody in one league on that one play and lose in another league on that one play, and it's if you lose in a big money league but you win in a small money league, you're more pissed off than you are.
Yeah, you're not celebrating your win
even
whatsoever,
though you won in one of them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true. It can just it gets too stressful, and you can't really enjoy the football as much, and you can't really enjoy your wins that you do have, even if it's a smaller league.
Yeah, and that's what we're in this for, is having fun and being able to watch our players play. It should
be fun. I mean, making some money, if you're at that level, then that's definitely a nice bonus, but it's mostly just fun to talk shit and enjoy the football on another level.
Okay, so what is your favorite league format?
So I've kind of moved on from standard, which is what, one of my first season I played standard outside of that family league, and I don't. It just values the running back so much that I like breathing a little bit of life and value into a deeper range of players with guys that move the chains and not necessarily scoring the touchdowns as much, but can still be really useful as a flex play or something on your fantasy lineup. And so that's why I think my favorite's probably half point. Out of the ones I've tried, half point PPR is probably my favorite, just because you get a balance. It's not as crazy, super high scoring weeks as the full point, but it's just there's a lot of valuable football players on the teams that don't really get red zone looks, but do a lot of good work, every single drive.
For sure.
And I like that it gives them a little more value.
Yeah, and having 5 catches in a game should be worth something. And I think 5 points for 5 catches is a little much, but 2.5 points for 5 catches is really, it doesn't make or break your game, but it will help you to win the game, if not at least come a lot closer.
Yeah. Now, one thing I am intrigued by, I have to say, I've never played it before, but I've done some reading about, there's an argument to be made in PPR in general that if you have a player that gets that reception, half point or full point, if he gets the reception but he goes back 2 yards, he shouldn't be, he shouldn't have some kind of gain from that play because they're moving backwards, right? It's not good in football to move backwards. You lose 2 yards on a play, you get the reception, but why is that really good? So there's an argument to be made for doing a half point per first down or a full point per first down league, which I've never played before, or having like a half PPR and half point per first down.
Yeah,
I think that would be a really cool way to do it because it really, you want to be moving forward, and do you want to reward players if they're not moving forward, even if they caught the ball? I don't know.
It also makes the tight ends a lot more valuable, which we all know tight ends aren't very, very valuable unless you have the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And tight ends are what basically in the NFL. There's a statistic. I don't remember what it is. I have to look it up. But there's a statistic that says that tight ends score the most first downs of anything because they're the blankets.
Yeah,
they
throw it to the giant reliable dude.
Right,
He's
exactly.
The big
Just
man. He's
tell him to run down the center of the field and throw it up, and he'll catch the ball.
Damn right.
That's pretty much how it is.
So I don't know. I've never tried it, but I think it'd be a fun option. It'd be a fun option to try. Have a little bit of that PPR and have a little bit of that points per first down. It's something to explore. There are a lot of fun options that you can do in your league settings that I've never tried. But to date, I gotta say, half point PPR is probably still the fave.
Yeah, I'm a half point PPR supporter. It really depends on the size of the league, like how many players. So like if you're playing in a standard league and you can play 5 running backs and you can only play 3 receivers, or you can play.
That's a lot of damn backs.
Right, exactly. So like say you play 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 3 flexes. Right,
Whew.
you probably want to
pool.
play. Right, you probably want to play running backs in those flexes because the receptions aren't getting you anything unless you can get like really high end receivers that will score yard. Like you need number 1 receivers if you want to put them in those flexes.
Right now, question for you: do you believe that the pool of wide receivers at any given time on the waiver is deeper than the pool of running backs that are playable as a flex play on any given week?
That I would again go back to that depends on the format of your league, because if your league plays more wide receivers than it does running backs, then it's probably going to be and also you have to factor in that running backs get hurt a lot more than wide receivers, so people are going to draft more running backs than they are wide receivers anyway.
Sure.
Especially in the later rounds because everybody knows you have to have those, or especially in the earlier rounds because everybody knows you have to have that bell cow running back.
That's true.
Well, all right, we're going to get into a little bit of the news today.
News.
I have, before we get into the news, just in case anybody doesn't know about it, there is an app that is not Twitter. It's not, even though it's good to get on Twitter because there's a lot of very good information on Twitter, and it's literally right then you will know what happened in practice or whatever. But it's called SleeperBot, and if anybody doesn't know about it and is listening to the podcast, you should probably download it, because you can get, all you have to do is go on there and go to Fantasy Football Alerts, and it'll have, like right now, Jimmy Garoppolo to George Kittle connection cooking today, right? That's the first thing that's on there, right? It has so the first three are Jordan Matthews
He gone.
getting released.
He's bitch.
Right. He's not with the Patriots anymore because he got hurt in practice. So he won't be with them this year. So if you drafted him in your best ball leagues, sorry for you.
Which I did on a few occasions.
Right, exactly.
Hey, that's the gamble of that's the gamble and the argument against best ball, right? Is that shit like that you can't control. Why are you wasting your dollar on that? But
that's why you have 20 players.
It was fun. That's why it's fun.
That's right. And that's how you... Okay, so best ball is a good way to learn ADP before the...
That's true. That's true. It's like mock drafting for $1.
Exactly.
Or
yeah, like you can get on MFL 10s and play for $10 if you're really... a
big baller.
Right. If you just like playing fantasy a lot. So, yeah, the SleeperBot app is very useful. Obviously we don't have a promotion for it because we're not that yet, I guess.
And they stepped their game up.
Possible.
I had that bot last season because it was pretty good for it was kind of like Twitter. It was really good for these quick updates, but the app itself was pretty bad. But this season they like redid it, or they made enough money to get a new team or did something, because it's like way better.
I think they got some new devs on it, and
I just got it yesterday. I don't know. It's cleaner. It's definitely more professional.
Also, when you click on, like, say you click on Doug Baldwin's knee injury, right? It'll have 104 messages, and it's all about just random people that are on the app that say what they think about it, so you can get other people's opinions on it.
So, Travis, what happened to Doug Baldwin's knee?
Okay, so Doug Baldwin's knee injury, he had a knee injury in practice today.
This week has been brutal, man. I feel like everybody they're just taking hits left and right.
Doctors are hopeful and confident that he will be able to return for the start of the regular season.
He's got a few weeks. Not
a big deal. Josh Doctson was shaken up. That's that could be a big deal. It depends. The update's coming tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
I think Smith's gonna like that Crowder. He's gonna like him some Crowder.
Right, for sure.
You already know.
Yeah, that
he's gonna chow down on that Crowder.
I don't know. Josh Doctson is an outside receiver. Crowder's obviously a slot receiver. Probably the person that's going to take Josh Doxson's most of Josh Doxson's targets is Paul Richardson. Because he got traded.
He got paid.
Exactly.
He got paid.
Or they got him off free agency from Seattle this offseason.
That's a good chunk of change. He's gonna see some targets.
He'll
spread the love.
But yeah, basically there's... Oh. Alright, well, that's not that big of a deal. Quincy Enunwa got an injury in practice today. Not that anybody's drafting him, but you know.
No, I'm all in on the Jets. You know, I've been a Jet supporter my whole life. You know, from the womb. I was a Jet supporter, and you know, so I believe in Quincy. I believe in the,
you got a tattoo of him
in the crow, in the you know, Elijah McGuire.
Elijah McGuire's hurt. I wouldn't.
McCown. I'm McCown QB1 this season, obviously.
What about Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold, you know,
he's gonna take his job.
we'll find out in the next episode of Who Gives a Shit About the Jets.
So that's basically just a few updates on what's going on around the league, and we got it all from the SleeperBot app. Now, we may have a little bit more news, like as far as we'll go through. That might be something we might do.
We'll go through. Yeah. Well, there's always news.
Well, what I was gonna say is we might have segments that are like the AFC North. We'll go through each team and have what news is happening, right? We could do that on podcasts if we want to do that.
That's a good way to do it.
And
make it more digestible.
With each team, so we can have like whatever the Steelers have, say Juju Smith left the field on Monday, but he returned on Tuesday or whatever.
I mean, why are you talking about the Steelers, Travis?
Because it's in the AFC North, and I just said that. But, yeah, we could do that. That would be something. We could probably do that in the weeks to come if y'all want us to.
Yeah.
I guess y'all can message us on Facebook whenever we put this out and let us know. But, yeah, that's pretty much what we have for news today. Okay, so we're going to talk about the draft strategy now. My draft strategy really comes down to about 3 different parts of the draft. So the first 5 rounds, I go
trifecta.
Right, exactly. So first 5 rounds, I go best player available, BPA. You'll hear that a lot if you listen to podcasts or you listen to any kind of fantasy sports radio type stuff. So basically what that means is I have, in my rankings, I have a top 60 overall, which if you play in 12-team leagues, that's 60 players, right? If you do the math. And basically I will go from that top 60, I will go pretty much word for word unless I have a feeling about a player or I just want a player more. I'll probably just move him up on my rankings so that I'm pretty much guaranteed to get him based on ADP. So ADP is average draft position, and if you go into... So we play on ESPN, and ESPN's ADP is going to be way different than, say, Yahoo or...
That's true. Fantasy Pros.
Fantasy
Football Calculator. They all have their own.
Right.
Fan
NFL. There's
CBS.
A lot of different...
Everybody's got their own.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ones, so... That's a way to take advantage of it. If you feel like doing rankings, you obviously don't have to. You could, if anybody wants my rankings, just let me know. I will add you to the list. I already have a few people on my list right now. I'll give everybody my rankings. I don't really care.
So you go best player available, which is definitely a good strategy for the whole draft. Or
no.
Are there any points where you're switching it up?
So after round 5, I will go to. Also have my top pretty much 80 of running backs and receivers, and then I'll have like a top 30 of tight ends and quarterbacks, and I will go, like, say my first 5 rounds are 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers. Well, at this point I might go I might just want a wide receiver. Like, I basically need one. I have really good running backs. Why not get a wide receiver right now? Well, I would go through my wide receiver rankings, and the next few that are up, I'll pick my favorite one.
So that round 6, 7, 8, 9, even if you have the best player available being another running back, you might opt for the best receiver available at that point because you already got pretty solid backs to start things off, and you need depth in other positions. So
right.
You're just gonna ignore what's going on elsewhere, even if it's technically maybe a more valuable player a little bit, and you're gonna get the best receiver you can.
Right, because at that point, you're not throwing darts at that point, but it's kind of personal preference.
It's trickier.
Right.
You're gonna get people are gonna get their guys, so they're using ADP as a guide, but you might see some guys, reach plus 1, 2 rounds even
right.
if somebody really wants that person, and you see other guys where that should be going.
Dak
maybe
Prescott
slip 1 or
last
2
year.
rounds. Yeah, that's a great example.
She wanted Dak Prescott. She went in the second round for him.
That's true.
And I wouldn't have recommended that, but
yeah, it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yes, it is a bold strategy, especially when you drop in week 4.
Ooh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
That was probably not the best thing.
It was a little
Sarah.
it was a little rough for Dak last year.
But I mean, if you draft
Sarah last year, a little rough for Travis last year.
A little rough, yes, it was very rough. But
pretty great for Ricky last year.
Yeah, pretty shitty for the rest of the league. It was bullshit, especially Keith. Keith had such a good draft last year and
that's
got shit on.
Yeah, that's been a very unlucky trend to have some excellent waiver pickups, excellent draft picks, and as he even put on his Facebook post, have a solid run till week 12 or 13 and get bumped in some unfortunate series of events or injuries or whatever it may be. It's been it's a cruel mistress, fantasy.
It is. But yeah, so also another thing about drafting is some people like to draft quarterbacks early. Some people like to draft tight ends early.
Best player available.
I have come around. Right, I have come around to the best player available type. So in years past, I haven't drafted a quarterback or a tight end until round 10, period.
You should have got Peyton Manning in 2013, I'm telling you.
Well, I actually did. That was my first year playing, and I drafted him in the first round because I didn't know any different.
I feel you there.
I didn't know
because
any
his ADP
different.
was super high,
Right.
and you know what? It paid off because we're
It
lucky
did. It
bastards.
was 50 touchdowns later. I didn't win that league,
Before all
though, because I
Noodle
drafted
Arm
like
came along.
shit. But whatever. But anyway.
So if you see a good quarterback, like you see a Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers flip a round or two, you might sit there going, why is he still there?
Right. So, like, his Aaron Rodgers' ADP is the 4th round right now. It's like 403 or something. So if you see him at 412 or
420?
5... if you see him at 420, then you should probably smoke that. Probably not,
Ricky
actually. Yes, the old Ricky Williams. So if you see him slip to like, even if he gets to the 5th round, that's where I probably would draft an Aaron Rodgers.
He's not making it to the 5th round.
He won't make it to the 5th round. Somebody will probably take him in the 3rd round, but
I could see him in the 4th round. He might make it to the 4th, but he's not making it to the 5th.
Right, which is the reason I will never get Aaron Rodgers, and I will never get this year I'm not going to get Russell Wilson because he's going in the 6th round.
What do you think about that Doug Baldwin news today? You think Russell Wilson? Who's he going to throw it to?
He might slip.
Who's he going to throw it to?
Who's he going to throw it to?
Lockett? The number 1 Lockett?
Gross. Probably CJ Procise, honestly. They're probably going to move CJ out to wide receiver because that's the only thing. He used to be a wide receiver in college.
Russell Wilson, trick question, doesn't need receivers. He just wins games.
It's true. He just runs the ball for 600 yards a season and doesn't have to worry about it.
But not until like week 12.
Yeah, that's true.
But as far as tight ends go, that's a little different story. So, like, if I see Gronk slip to the 3rd round,
ooh,
I'm definitely drafting him.
That's tasty.
If I have one of the last picks of the 1st round.
When was the last time Gronk played a full season, though?
He hasn't ever played a full season.
Oh.
I think he played 15 games like 5 years ago. But
when he's in there,
in saying that, he's been the number 1 tight end every year that he's played 12 games or more. So,
fair.
I mean, they use him, like,
Touché.
period. He's, week to week, he's the number 1 tight end if he's in there.
You don't see an argument for Kelsey being...
Not this year, no. Because he has a brand new quarterback that you have no idea who...
Don't you see brand new quarterbacks rely on their tight end sometimes?
Yes, especially if they're young, but I will say that...
he's going to chunk it downfield?
Yes, he has...
he's got a gun.
What is his name?
Mahomes?
Mahomes. Pat Mahomes.
No, me and Mahomes.
Right.
Me and
has
Mahomes.
He has that big arm. Like, he's got one of the biggest arms in the NFL just walking in.
Real girthy.
Right, exactly. He can throw the ball from his knees 60 yards or whatever the saying was before he got drafted.
Deep.
Right.
Real deep.
But yeah, so I'm really not on Travis Kelce this year, unless if he slips to like the 5th round.
You think Ertz has a better season than Kelce this year?
Yes, I honestly do.
Is that a hot take?
No.
No.
There's some people that have Ertz first, number
over
1
Gronk?
over Gronk, because they think he's going to. Actually, a lot of the analysts on Fantasy Pros have Ertz first.
I mean, it's not
5 or 6.
It wouldn't be that crazy, but it is a little spicy.
He is actually.
They got Dallas now. They got Dallas. Don't they? They were Eagles running up the 2 tight end set, right? So
yeah, well, a lot of times, but that was when they had Trey Burton. Trey Burton's in Chicago now,
right.
So I don't know who they would use. Garrett Selleck.
Oh,
Dallas Goedert. Yeah, you're right.
They
have Dallas
Goedert. They moved up to snag his ass.
Yeah, I mean, but rookie tight ends. That's a thing, by the way. Rookie tight ends don't usually do anything unless your name's Gronk or Evan Ingram.
Or this year, Hayden Hurst or Mike Gesicki. Maybe.
Hayden Hurst was drafted after a tight end. They drafted a tight end before Hayden Hurst.
You know what I read, dude? I read this yesterday. Hayden Hurst is a 25-year-old man that played professional baseball. I didn't know that. That's not a young boy. He's a man who played a professional sport already. Now he's like, oh, I'm gonna go play football and just gonna show up.
Then I will say Joe Flacco does use his tight end a lot. We're talking about the Ravens tight end, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
So
okay.
Yeah, that's my basic draft strategy.
Tight end gets a little sticky. It's a little sticky.
And for those of you who draft a defense in the 9th round or 8th round, I don't know what.
Did we have anybody that early?
I think Aaron took a.
Well, it's because once you get deep enough, the ADP is high enough to where.
Right, and they'll come up on the ADP for sure.
Like,
but
where's the Jags? Where's the Jags defense ADP this season? Probably in like the 10th, 9th.
No,
10th
it's the third. Right now, it's 13.
Because they're not going to make it till the 13th round. Somebody's going to get them before that.
I mean, yeah. It'd be cool, but I don't know. I don't need them.
No,
really.
I'm not suggesting that you draft a defense early. I'm just saying the likelihood that somebody does draft them in particular early is
well,
high.
put it this way. They were the number one defense last year, and there hasn't been a defense repeat as number one in like 10 years.
Yeah.
In fantasy.
And
so
Los
it's
Angeles defense is probably going to be good.
Yes, the Los Angeles defense is going to be good. The Chargers, well, both Los Angeles is going to be good.
They got injuries too, though.
Yeah, they do. That's the problem. That's
classic
gonna be
Chargers.
A big deal.
Classic Chargers.
Yeah. Classic. You're going to get that Keenan Allen in the first round, aren't you, Miranda? Don't lie.
Hey, Keenan Allen's probably going to have himself a good
year. He's definitely worth
year.
it in PPR.
Without Hunter Henry there, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, that sucks about Hunter Henry.
It sucks so bad. That still hurts. And that was a while ago now, and it still hurts because Hunter Henry was about to have an epic season.
Yeah, I drafted him in a couple of best balls back before he got hurt.
Me too.
I was mad.
Yeah, I think we're all. I mean, he's probably mad too.
Yeah, I would be if I was him.
Yeah, you get to wait for your moment to shine, and then it comes, and then your body breaks.
Right, it sucks. But they'll probably get old Gates out of retirement and not have to worry about it. He's going to score 5 or 6 touchdowns, and you're never going to know when that touchdown's going to come. So
he's immortal.
Right, he is. It's like 38.
Him and Brady's immortal too.
Yeah. Well,
he's a vampire.
There's difference between quarterbacks and pretty much any other position because you don't get hit as much every play as a quarterback.
What's your name's Jason fucking Witten? Played for 15 years without missing any games.
Hey, yeah. And what's his name? The offensive lineman for the Browns who played 10 years without missing a game. He was an Iron Man. Huh?
What's his name? Joe Thomas?
Joe Thomas, yeah. You're right. Yep. That dude was really good. Sucks that he had to play on... Yeah, he did. It sucks that he had to play on a terrible team for that long and not miss a game, which means he had all that heartache, all of it.
And now they're getting hyped up this season finally.
Right, and
when you hang up the cleats, you get a film crew in your locker room, and you get a bunch of new fun offensive toys to play with.
Oh yeah, what do you think about Josh Gordon?
What do I think about Josh Gordon?
Yeah,
I would like to make sweet love to him. Well, of course, he's a beautiful man and a beautiful football player. What do you think? What do you mean? What I think about him?
He's not playing football.
Well, how do you know he's not playing football? He's
not playing football right now.
He's down in Gainesville, Georgia. I saw some pictures of him playing football.
He's working out, but he's not with the team.
No, that's true. He's not with the team. Doesn't mean he's not playing football.
They saying he might get suspended again.
Who's they? Who's your source?
The NFL radio.
The NFL radio said he's getting suspended for what?
Well, they said he might. They said he might. They don't know.
He perpetually might be getting suspended, but he didn't break any rules this time.
That's my problem with him.
He's good to go.
How do you know he didn't break any rules?
Because we're tight, man. I text him all the time. Sometimes we Snapchat each other. No, I don't fucking know it. But all I'm saying is that the dude looks like he's trying to take care of his shit the best he can, but he didn't want those cameras on him. That's my opinion. He didn't want all them cameras on him.
I agree.
I think he was
which he doesn't need all those cameras on him, but he's still going to have to be there. Yeah, that's okay.
I think he's getting anxious, but the start of the football season, he's finally back. It's a lot of hype. That's got, you got to have some mental fortitude. I think that he wanted to take precautionary measures to make sure that he didn't slip up, and he might have felt himself wanting to do some things that he knew he shouldn't be doing anymore. He knows some more adaptive coping mechanisms now. He doesn't want to go back to those maladaptive ones. I think he wanted to get the fuck out of there and didn't want cameras on him all for weeks or whatever at a time, so he can get his head right, because his body's already right.
Yeah.
He's gonna play.
I heard that he has anxiety, like real bad, and that's the reason that he smokes.
He's self-medicating, right? Like that's
right, and that's if that's the case, then okay, that's not that.
I mean,
big of a
it's
deal.
all speculation, right? It's
but my problem with Josh Gordon is he's been given like 4 chances, I think. Now he's been suspended twice for using, and then he's
been suspended for cannabis use, which it shouldn't
exactly
be, it shouldn't be a thing. Shouldn't be a thing at all.
In the NFL, I would agree.
He wouldn't be suspended. He shouldn't be.
But the point is, you're making millions of dollars to play a game. You can't
you're right.
stop.
You should be able
just
to,
for the.
If they tell you you're going to have a piss
time.
test on this date of this year, you should be able to be clean for that. You're right. But that being said, it shouldn't be. I mean, concussions are such a big problem in the NFL. Cannabis has plenty of empirical evidence behind the fact that it's helpful for recovery of concussions, and it's less addictive than a lot of these other medications the NFL is willing to throw out there. So
right, like opioids.
They shouldn't be testing for it in the first place. But you're right, he was abusing it for sure, and he's got his fair share of demons. But I think he's
the problem with my problem with it is you get caught once. Okay, you get caught once. Don't do it again. Like, it's really not that hard to not smoke.
Yeah, but that's like telling a heroin addict just stop doing heroin, or telling a depressed person just be happy.
I don't think it's the same, because you said it yourself. It's not as addictive as those drugs.
Yeah, he was abusing all sorts of stuff though. He just got suspended.
Okay,
he got suspended for the cannabis use, but I don't know. I watched that YouTube video, and he was doing a lot harder stuff too, in pursuit of that self medication.
What an idiot!
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not stupid. I'm sure he thinks it's stupid himself, but I think he plays football this season. I think he's being extra cautious right now. But I think you see him out there, even if he's not out there, even during the whole the Hard Knocks or whatever. If you don't see him in that, I don't know if you're going to see him or not. But
yeah, and that's the thing. Hard Knocks, I think, stays with him for at least the first quarter of the season. So he's gonna have to, if he's gonna play, he's gonna have to have the cameras.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm telling you either way, but
he's gonna have to have the cameras in his face.
Maybe he's willing to face his demons, but he's just right now making sure he's good to do that whenever the time comes.
Exactly, and
I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
If he's out there for training camp, at least some part of training camp, then I will be okay with drafting him. If he's not, he's off my board. I will not.
You think Des Bryant's
him.
going to the Browns?
If
Gordon
gets suspended or isn't there for
right.
whatever reason, yeah. I do, honestly.
Would that be pretty sexy though, with Landry and Dez?
Honestly, I think Dez. It would be a very good combo, but
sexy.
I really think Dez has lost a step.
I think
he's not the touchdown scorer that he used to be, and that's what he made his money on.
He definitely didn't look last season like he looked in 2014, but I do think that he can offer a valuable threat to any given team in the NFL today. Because if they have to give cornerback attention to him if he's on the field, they're not going to ignore him. Even if he has lost a step, or even if he has had a kind of a slip, I still think he could offer a lot of value to a lot of teams.
He's only what 28.
I still
29?
think he's a top talent in the NFL, and he's got something to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's hungry. Even if he's not as spry as he once was, I think he's still going to be a good football player. We'll see where he ends up, but I saw some. Seahawks? If Dougie's hurt, you think
maybe
goes
so?
to Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, they do need a touchdown scorer. They lost Jimmy Graham too, so he scored 10 touchdowns last year. He's one of 4 players that scored 10 touchdowns
last year. He goes to the
last year.
Patriots?
No, I don't think he goes to the Patriots.
I don't think he's. If he goes to the Patriots, I think he has like a good year. I think somehow they use him in the perfect way, and he has a killer year.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody can get the best out of him, it depends, because he's a drama queen. So Bill Belichick is not going to.
Most wide receivers at the higher level of the NFL are drama queens. That's the nature of the position, in my opinion. Most of them are, and there are very few.
True.
AJ Green and Julio are thought to be.
But when they lose that
but
step, just like when Terrell Owens lost a step. He couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Right? When
I'm sure
who's the other one? Chad Johnson. Whenever he lost a step, he couldn't handle it.
I just think that the rapport that Tony had with Dez and Tony's particular strengths, they made each other better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was
because
perfect,
Tony was not
perfect.
afraid to throw it up
and
to
Dez,
him.
They had a really good rapport. He knew what he liked. He knew what he could do, and they made it happen. And I don't think you saw that rapport develop. And I don't think maybe Dak had the same kind of ability or the same kind of years of experience to know each other, and it just never really connected,
and
right?
That's the thing. Dak is not one to take chances. Like, he does not like to.
He's not slanging it. He's not slanging that.
Even in college, he wasn't a dink and dunk thrower, but he didn't throw really
think about a Case Keenum or Alex Smith.
Balls.
Or
right.
I know Alex Smith
exactly.
last season chunked it a lot, but think of Case Keenum and how he plays.
But that's the thing. He chunked it a lot, but he didn't throw 50-50 balls. He does not like those.
Right. You don't see a lot of picks. Or
Exactly.
They don't like
that's
to
a good
take the
thing
risk.
about Dak.
But that's what Dez really
regular NFL.
Dez won a lot of those 50-50s historically.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because he was bigger than the other
he's
person.
a big man. Yeah, he's a physical dude, right?
Exactly.
So I don't know. Interesting to see how that'll play out.
So, what about your draft strategy? What do you do?
My draft strategy. Well, I feel like I take a pretty similar approach to you for those first 6 rounds is probably 4 to 6 rounds. Those first rounds are pretty much just I'm looking at backs and receivers for the majority of my drafts. And if I see Russell Wilson slip into the 5th or 6th round or something crazy like that, then I'll probably snag him. But most of the time, I tend to leave tight ends and quarterbacks alone. My first 4 picks, I like to think of for my personal philosophy as my first 4 picks are my high floor picks. Those players I need high floors from. I need a high floor.
Yeah.
If they come with a super high ceiling, nice, great. But
Right.
I need them to have a high floor. I need them to have lots of usage, lots of volume, lots of opportunity, and that's what I'm valuing really more than anything else.
Volume is king in fantasy.
I want the volume. Now, once I get to 5 and 6, I'm still looking for that, but I'm also starting to look a little bit more towards those guys that can give me maybe some crazy good ceilings too, because in those middle rounds there are a lot of receivers and even a few backs still here and there that might be able to give you those big old numbers too.
Deshaun Jackson.
So there are a bunch of them, and we all have
Right.
our favorites that maybe you start reaching a little bit for once you get to those rounds 5, 6, 7, 8 or whatever, right? But I like for those first ones to pretty much be best player available, but really just looking at backs and receivers, and I'm just looking for that volume.
Right. You really want those high floors. You draft high tight ends. High. Wow, what are they called? Defenses.
Do I draft high defenses? Hopefully they're not high during the game. Afterwards, I don't feel as strongly about it. But
do you draft defenses high?
No, I don't draft defenses high. Historically, I have been worse, and Brian would give me lots of shit for this. Keith would give me lots of shit for this. I think in my first years, I did usually grab a defense in round 13 instead of round 15 or so. Or you know what I mean? I'm not talking round 10, round 9, but I would go a little earlier when there's still value to be had at backs and whatnot out there.
Right.
And I have done that just for for the Bronco D or whatever it is that year, I've done that a couple times, and I think that's just a learning curve of realizing over time that it's just not as, you really want to get the value even in the later rounds the best you can, and get a defense and a kicker at the very, very end, and that's just something that...
Yeah, and that's like me and Cody were talking about last week, like if you don't have to take a tight end and a defense and a kicker, sometimes I won't. I just will take backup or long shot running backs, hoping that or not hoping, but seeing if the person before them gets hurt in practice or whatever before the first week starts, and if he doesn't, then I'll just drop him and pick up whatever defense looks good.
If there's somebody you really want, then maybe you do that. Myself personally, I guess I'm just a little more conservative. I've never done that strategy. I've always drafted a kicker and a defense, usually maybe at the end of the draft, but whoever the best defense is out for that round 13, 14, 15, and then round 15, 16, whatever the end is for a kicker, I'm looking at who's the let's be honest, I'm getting Justin Tucker. I'm getting me some Justin Tucker. I love that fucker, Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
But or I'll get Gostkowski, who's another fan favorite.
Right.
And so for me, I'd rather just grab one of those guys where I know they're gonna be more likely to give me something close to a 10-point game, 8-point game, than a guy that might give me 2-3 points or something. And that's pretty. I know a lot of people think kickers are terrible. You should even have kickers. Kickers are terrible. I don't know. Travis, is something where we disagree, because I do feel like kickers add something to the game. It adds an element of fun. There's a little bit of predicting you can do. There's a little bit you can't at the position. Some definitely are more valuable than others. Look at Greg the Leg last season and what he was doing for Brian, right?
Right, but if you look at Greg the Leg the season before,
he's terrible.
You'll
right.
see.
But go look at Gostkowski.
No
go look at Gostkowski since we started playing in 2013, good. And tell me where he's at, because I can tell you where he's at.
There's a few that are good that you can predict.
All I'm saying is that sometimes those 5 to 10 points that sets you apart can win you a game.
It's true, and that's the thing. See, people think that I don't like kickers. Like I love kickers. I will leave the kicker in on every one of my leagues and be perfectly okay with that because I like the variance. I do.
It is fun.
I just don't think that, like, I would never keep any kicker in his bye week ever. I will drop the kicker.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of measuring
one that I will drop.
Would you or would you not hold a kicker for any given reason at any time? And I think that's a good way to measure, because some people would keep the kicker if you have a Greg the Leg going off every week, or you have a Gostkowski or Justin Tucker who are getting you 15 points every week or something for a few weeks in a row. Some people might think, well, man, look at all the kickers on the wire. Maybe there's some shit options out there.
Like, say, 2 years ago, Cairo Santos for KC, I had him. He had a 15-point week, a 15-point week, and a 22-point week.
Woo!
And I dropped him the next week because he was
Travis,
on fire.
No!
Guess what he did the rest of the year? He had 3, 5, 7. Like, it was nothing that I could not replace. Like, I could care less about a kicker.
Here's a fun kicker story for you, Travis.
Yeah.
Last season, in our Token League, I was sitting at the Latham and Brian establishment during the draft across the table from a quite drunk Chris Lang, Sarah, and Miranda and company.
Yeah.
And Chris Lang got a good laugh out of this because he sat and stared me in the face while we drafted Justin Tucker at the end of the draft when he obviously knew I was about to draft Justin Tucker, and he looked at me and just started cackling maniacally as he drafted him. And I thought, well, that is so rude. Rude. Then he was terrible, and a few weeks later he dropped his ass, and then, hello, ik ben here, and I picked him up. And then he got 10 points, 12 points, 15 points, 13 points, 10 points for the rest of the season. So thank you, Chris Lang.
Right. See, and that's the thing. So drafting to block other people is a strategy that works sometimes, but it's also a strategy that can backfire on you. Like, drafting somebody else's handcuff is... if you draft him because he's a good player, like Tevin Coleman, okay, that's fine.
I'm down for
but
Tevin.
if you draft him so that you can trade him to that player, well, why would they trade for that person when they're the backup and they have the starter? So unless the starter gets hurt, they have no reason for that person to be on their team. Right? Unless it's a really good player, in which case you don't want to trade him anyway.
Right, there are a couple scenarios. I don't know. I feel like my thought process on handcuffs and drafts has evolved over time, because I used to be more of a pretty hard handcuff. I like to have a hand, even up to the last couple of seasons, I like to have the handcuff for my guy, just for the peace of mind, in that if he goes down, I could plug him in, right? Plug and play, especially if we're creeping towards playoffs or something.
Right.
But I have learned that you can just really waste a roster spot, too, a bench spot, by holding a handcuff that really isn't that valuable, because maybe that injury does happen and he doesn't even materialize as that good of a player because he's not the same player. So
Matt Breida.
And I feel like maybe with Breida this season, you see something different with that new Shanahan offense.
Maybe so, but what I'm saying is, if Jared McKinnon goes down, Matt Breida's not getting all of what Jared McKinnon is going to get. Like, Matt Breida is not the player that Jared McKinnon is. Therefore, it's not going to be like a number one. Yeah, exactly. So Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. If Devontae Freeman goes down, Tevin Coleman is getting all of that work.
He's a beast.
Yeah, Teron Ward or whatever his name is going to get some work. Nah. Yeah, in the passing game he will, just to spell him. But it's going to be basically a Tevin Coleman show. Whereas
they're damn receivers.
Right, exactly. Just like so. Dalvin Cook went down last year. Latavius Murray got the first and second down role, and Matt Asiata or whoever the hell else they had there.
I'm on the Latavius Murray train if Cook's down. He was pretty solid last season. He could handle 15-20 touches every game, and he had some good. He was a good See, there are a level of handcuffs, some really good, some worthless. He was in the middle there between. He was not.
Well, that's because
elite,
of touchdowns.
Well, yeah. Well, that
He had a lot of
the opportunity,
right.
and the durability.
But that's what I'm saying,
to
though.
get 15,
you can
20
pick
touches.
him up off the waiver wire,
And I did
whereas
last season.
exactly,
Yes, correct.
Whereas
You didn't have to draft him and hold him.
exactly,
That's true.
you don't want to
Yeah.
draft and hold because
There are only a couple scenarios.
exactly like if so the year that the Steelers had. What was his
D'Angelo
name?
Williams come in?
D'Angelo Williams. He was a
killing
really
it.
good back.
But that's a good O-line, that's a good team, good
Exactly.
offense, right? Good opportunity there for sure. So some teams it's more valuable. I don't know. I've kind of evolved. Like I said, I'm not always going for the handcuff. I might in certain situations if I know they're going to get the opportunity, but I'm probably going to search for some third down pass catching back, like a Duke Johnson or a Chris Thompson, if they're still floating out there, a Terry Cohen or something. I might snag that guy because he might offer me more flex appeal than that handcuff would if I needed to play.
Exactly. And we play in half-point PPR, so
So they're worth something.
if they get a catch, it's worth half a point, whereas somebody like Latavius Murray's not going to catch that many balls.
I mean, last season, Cody earlier in the season picked up Terry Cohen when he was like killing it, absolutely killing it for, I don't know, it was a couple weeks or whatever it was, but he was looking insane. And that situation early in the season, you're looking for those guys breaking out. You're going to spend a little bit of your dough. You're going to try to make the read and get the guy. And I mean,
That was a good pickup.
I think you
It
see
helped him
Terry
like
coming-
4 weeks in a row.
And I think you see him be pretty good again this season, especially in that new offense, right?
See, I'm on the Jordan Howard side of that. I think that they are going to use him more in the passing game this year, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about handcuffs, so
Fair enough.
And
Fair enough.
I honestly wouldn't consider like if you have a running downs back and a passing downs back, I don't consider the passing downs back a handcuff to the running downs back. Like, for example, what's a good one?
How do you mean?
Like, so, well, I mean, take Jordan Howard and
Okay.
Tariq Cohen. So,
there's different skill sets.
right, exactly. Tariq Cohen is not a handcuff
Like
for
an Ingram
Jordan
Kamara
Howard.
situation where one's a little more of a bruiser between the tackles and one's going to be catching a few more passes.
Yes, but they did run Kamara pretty, I mean,
And
a
Ingram
good
caught
bunch.
passes. I mean, I'm not saying
Exactly.
that they can't.
So
do
I
it,
would
but-
consider that a good handcuff situation. Like, I would take Ingram
because it's a 1A and 1B situation.
exactly,
almost.
exactly. Whereas in Chicago, it's more of a 1 and then a 1 in the running game and then a 1 in the passing game. Like,
Right.
you know, that's the reason that Matt Nagy got hired there was because they're now going to put both of them on the field at some points in time, so you're not going to know whether it's a pass or a run.
So when you're
Whereas-
making the call and drafting a handcuff, really what it boils down to is you need to do a little bit of digging to see what that offense and that coach looks like, what they like to do, how they're going to do things, to know whether that guy is going to be more valuable or less valuable depending on the offense they run. Because some teams, they might have a very valuable handcuff, and some teams, it might just not be worth anything.
Yeah, or you can just listen to us and we'll tell you what's going on with
Goddamn right.
the starter and the backup, like we will with the going through the divisions.
Hell yeah.
Alrighty, well, we've talked for a good 50 minutes now, so it's been
Wow, yeah, look at that.
it's
Are people still listening?
I don't think so. I think they've tuned out.
We
by
don't give
now,
a shit,
but-
man. I tuned out 25 minutes ago.
Right, but I think we've been getting some good conversation going at least.
If
and we'll-
anything, disagree with us and talk shit on Facebook about
yeah,
our
please,
opinions.
please.
I know
mean, if
I know Brian's arguing as we speak about whatever it is that we were just talking about, and he's probably got some harsh opinions on it. So I can't wait to
That's
hear
right.
it.
And if you have something you want us to talk, like issues or whatever with the league, or issues
Oh yeah.
issues that you want to talk about, like if you want us to talk about a certain player or a certain situation, please let us know on
Childhood
Facebook.
traumas.
Right.
You know, really anything,
Yeah,
anything
definitely
on your
do.
mind. You know, had
Yeah.
a bad day.
I wouldn't do that. We might rag
All right,
on you a
we'll
little
stick
bit.
to football.
All right. Well, this has been the Fantasy Football TokeNCast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, form the token ring.
Woo!
This has been a Token Ring production. All music brought to you by Richie Flow. You can find his beats at SoundCloud, Richie Flow Beats.